Good evening and welcome to, is it evening over in Scotland? I'm not sure. Welcome back to the match day coverage on A Celtic State of Mind with Sean Connolly from A Celtic Down Under and Lawrence Connolly from A Celtic State of Mind. You're joining us just after full time on a big win for Celtic, 4-1 over St Johnstone. That's the first time we've won by a 3-goal margin in quite a few games. But I guess the main headline here is that we are now 9 points clear of the opponents, the other team, the opposition, whatever you want to call them. We now have a 19 goal advantage in the goal difference stakes, and we're one game shy of the halfway point in the season, which will come after Hibernian at Easter Road on Wednesday / Thursday, depending on your country. And of those 18 games we've played so far, we've won 17 out of 18. Sensational form. I believe the record for games won in a row in the league is 25, set by Martin O'Neill in 2003, 2004, or Gordon Strachan. I forget who it was at that point. And we're now up to 11 league wins in a row after that game. So, Lawrence, overall, not necessarily reflecting on the second half or the game, but based on our position after that result, how do you feel?
Kyogo, he was 11 and 15. He's now 13 and 16. No doubt why he starts. VAR actually overruled a decision in our favour today. We were 3-0 up at the time when VAR appeared to start working for us. I don't know if that's coincidental. And Jura goes. Does Hatate stay it right back? 2 goals. Possibly, had a chance for a hat-trick as well. He was just outstanding today, wasn't he?
Yeah, and yeah, is that interesting? Yeah, definitely. Statistically, these things are all adding up, and we love it. We love to get the 4 goals. In the one that you're talking about, where the 4th goal was awarded to us by VAR, I think you're right. I don't think we've had anything given to us so far this season. And hey, just to even up, we had 2 go against us immediately after. We had the St Johnstone goal, which was correctly awarded, and then we had, despite the fact I think half of the players on the pitch had given up on it. And then the red card against David Turnbull right at death. What did you make of that? Was it a red card? What do you think?
So he's jumping up. It's got to be higher than head height because both of them are jumping. It studs up and he makes contact with the opponent's head. Textbook dangerous play. It's a red card every day of the week for me. Even if there's no contact, I'm saying it's at least a yellow, maybe a red, because it is dangerous. People might say, he's just got eyes for the ball. You can't be putting your foot up studs high at that height, knowing the keeper's coming to challenge. You've got to be aware what you're doing. You're endangering an opponent there. It's a red card every day of the week.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you, and I'm sure there'll be some dissenting comments that I've not quite picked up yet. And some of them are kind of, I can see now, are deflecting, making equivalence to offences committed by teams that wear blue in Glasgow. But I'm still saying, I'm agreeing with you, Lawrence, that is what you would classify as dangerous and reckless play, regardless of whether your eyes are on the ball or not. You're putting your studs into an area where people's head belongs, and it's as simple as that. When you're training to be a referee, you're taught that if a player ducks their head into the area of feet, they're the one committing even though they're putting their head in danger, they're committing the offence because they created the situation of dangerous play. Well, if a player puts his studs into the area where heads should be, then he is the one creating the offence of dangerous play. And as much as I'm disappointed with it, I actually do agree that decision was correct and should have been a red card. And I would hope that is a kind of something that starts to go in our favour going forward, because you don't have to look too far back to see Joe Hart getting staples in his head from Stephen Fletcher to kind of think how these could and should start going in our favour.
Listen, people are right to compare it to last night's boot up, head high challenge in the box that wasn't even a foul. You've just got to, and both with the benefit of VAR. So it's not split second decisions here. The refs have been through the same training. It's 2 different teams. We get the decision against us, rightly so. But the other team, can I use that phrase, the other team?
The opposition FC.
Yeah, Old Firm FC, it should have been the same result there, and wasn't. And that's it. It's the inconsistencies that VAR is many iron out. And if anything, all it's doing is highlighting inconsistencies. Because it's done away with the excuse of split seconds decisions. It's not. You get to watch it often enough. If you don't watch it often enough, you're told that these offside decisions, the lines are on. It's taken them over a minute just to come up with an offside decision. For us, when they're checking the goal, you're like, what exactly are you looking for here? We can see straight away it's on one side. What is it you're waiting on?
Yeah, and I believe you're referring to the St Johnstone goal, even though both of those goals were subject to the same scrutiny. And it's the same thing happened in the Hearts game, and it's like, it's they're spending 4 minutes looking at it, and we can see on the first replay that it is clear and obvious. And I don't think, to be totally honest, of all the decisions that have gone against us, I mean, handballs notwithstanding, I think everything else has been like we can have no complaints really of the VAR decisions that have gone against us in terms of goals and red cards, and we just want to see it come back the other way. We want to see that Michael Smith Harlem Globetrotters move be given as a penalty. We want to see Stephen Fletcher's studs in Joe Hart's head given as a red card. We want to see Sevco being subjected to the same scrutiny. This is our problem with VAR. It's not that it's been unfairly used against us. It's been unfairly used in favour of other teams, or unfairly not used, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I said I've got absolutely no complaint. He studs up at that height. I wouldn't like to take that. And you've got to know that the dangers are there. Yeah, people might say he's entitled to challenge for the ball. Yeah, not with studs up at that height. It's not. And that's it. And why he's not entitled to these studs up at that height? Because it's dangerous and you endanger an opponent.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And to talk about and leading on from that, I guess technically, now I believe that's because it's a straight red card. I believe that means Turnbull is missing for the next 3 games, which puts him out for Hibs, Sevco, and whoever's after that. It's an immediate effective suspension. So we were just chatting about how the stadium sponsors man of the match Hatate might actually be a great shout as an ongoing right back, but now that they're for the next 3 games, a centre midfield has just vacated themselves from the squad. Then that means I would guess that Hatate is going to be quite quickly back into there. Maybe the question is,
how long's Ralston out for? And if I'm Alistair Johnstone watching it, I'm thinking, right, I know Dura's probably going to leave. I've got to be Tony Ralston now. I'm kind of thinking, geez, I've got to be Hatate too, because that was a stunned performance at right back.
Do you think he was man of the match, or do you think someone else?
Easily. I think easily. 2 goals, potentially a hat-trick from right back. Done everything he was asked defensively. Got forward well. Yeah, cracking. I remember when we signed him, we didn't know where he was going to play. Full back or midfield. But, geez, on that performance, he just didn't look out of place, did he? You thought if we'd signed him and that was his first game, you'd go, geez, what a right back we've just signed.
There was an issue that because he was kind of chasing a hat trick as a right back, he kind of stopped coming back and fulfilling his defensive duties at one point, and it was really kind of, it didn't cost us anything at any point, but it was really kind of glaring to look up and see that big gap there as he was just occupying the centre mid position, the inside fullback, the tucking in fullback position that we is part of Postecoglou's system. And I don't think, I think under any other circumstance he wouldn't show that kind of indiscipline, but I would hope so anyway.
I think it's to do with how far opposition were pushing forward as well. They got to the stage where they just decided, right, we're just going to sit deep now, and it could, there's maybe not the need to have both your full backs a wee bit further back. You can just leave the 2 centre halves there, because the opposition had just said keep the score down handy. But yeah, listen, your Tony Ralston. Yeah, listen, even if Jura was staying, would I play Jura over Hatate right back? Not in that performance. I'd be saying Hatate, just keep that shut. You've scored 2 goals for right back, mate. I mean, before kickoff, he was 1 goal and 15 from midfield. He's now 3 and 16. So yeah.
I mean, the other side of that argument is someone who was very effective in the first half and arguably our man of the match in the first half was Adam Moy. And I think I would personally argue that he was not nearly as effective in the second half. Who would you like to see starting against Hibs in that position? Would it be Moy or Hatate? Notwithstanding any right back arguments.
No, so for that, yeah, I think I'd probably leave Moy in. And it is because, we're going to be struggling at right back, aren't we? You're going to need your options there. I was excited to see, Haksabanovic been tried through the middle from midfield, but by that time, St Johnstone had closed up. They'd covered up the spaces that maybe he could have capitalised on. So, yeah, I'd probably leave Moy in there. Not his best game, probably not helped it, stupidly picking up a yellow. But yeah, I'd probably leave that alone. Definitely leave 2 goals from right back. You don't want to change that if you don't have to.
And we were discussing it off air, and it was slightly ironic that when Adam Moy got subbed, like, yep, okay, that's good. We've removed that danger of a red card, and then ironically, his replacement, David Turnbull, gets the red card instead. It was a little bit of poetic injustice, if you will. So it was a little bit frustrating in that sense. One player who made a big mistake in the second half, but then stood out for me in the other 44 plus minutes of the half was Cameron Carter-Vickers. He kind of got caught playing the line badly for that St Johnstone goal, where everyone, including the linesman, seemed to think it was offside, but Carter-Vickers had played Stevie May onside. But it's particularly after Stevie May went off, Carter-Vickers just kind of started getting a hold of the ball, strolling through the game and absolutely dominating from that point. I don't know how much if you reduce credit given the situation, but I thought he was really commanding.
They just want to redeem themselves, don't they? Because you're right, you'd be aware it was him that played them on, so he'd be maybe want to come out and redeem himself. But it's Christmas Eve. It's a 4-1, simple win for us. When the team are taking a bit of stick up in the press, Kyogo hopefully, with a double, is answered the doubters on why he starts. He's now 13 and 16 in the league. It is decent stats. James involved in a goal, looked lively. I thought Jota, when he came on, still looked a wee bit off it.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He didn't really stake a claim for next week, Jota, did he?
No, and look, if you're basing it on performances today, of the subs that came on together, i.e. Jota, Haksabanovic and Abada, my personal feeling would be that of those 3, you'd be giving Abada the nod, right?
Yeah, we talked about before kick-off Abada, and during the game we're saying Abada must be thinking, what do I have to do to start? I've only lost my position. I think that was down to Ralston being injured and just maybe needing a wee bit more cover. Yeah, but yeah, Abada's done the best out of the 3. He's really pushing for a start. He's the guy that's trying to stake a claim for a jersey. And another guy that's been, a lot of people have been speculating he should start, Giakoumakis. He didn't do anything to show me today why he should be starting over Kyogo.
Yeah, and there was a few comments on that. And talk about that Giakoumakis. He had one clear-cut chance that I remember where we talked about he hit the goalkeeper when he
put it up at a decent height to the goalkeeper's left. Hard and low along the ground have been harder. He's put up a decent height. Abada could have slipped him in, but he had a shot near the end. He done well coming back to get a header. He was moving away for a goal, but he's headed it straight to keeper. It's a hard header to take, but all in all, he's not done anything that says, you need to start me in front of Kyogo. That's it.
The funny thing is, Kyogo's kind of done. He did more today than he has done in previous games. I felt. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if that's maybe the people around him or if it's just my feeling. And you're right, Giakoumakis felt underwhelming. And then when he missed that chance, it almost felt like that was a vindication of Postecoglou's decision to start Kyogo ahead of Giakoumakis. If the roles were reversed today, you wouldn't have expected the same outcome. You wouldn't be saying 2 goals for Giakoumakis, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, you can slant it another way as well. I mean, before Yakimakis came on, St Johnstone were pushing up more. There was more space for your forward to operate in. But, 13 goals in 16 games, you're going to have to do a lot more than Yakimakis is doing to dislodge that striker from the starting lineup. And he's not done it. That chance he had, I think he made it easy for the keeper to save. Done really well with his header. He's moved away from goal, he's come back. Unfortunately, it's been straight to keeper, but he's done well to get power on it and get it on target. Abada could have slipped him in, but yeah, he's not done anything that I'm going, yeah, he's got to start next week. Whereas Kyogo, 2 goals, yeah, you're going, yeah, you deserve to start. Let's let attack 2 goals from right back. Jeez, just start at right back next week.
One thing that I believe I noticed today, but I don't know if I'm just kind of wish casting it, was it felt like we were making more runs in behind from deep, as in terms of fullbacks and midfielders breaking it for the ball over the top. Steve J points this out: other teams ignoring our through runs, a lot of spaces to exploit. I felt there was several times today, Greg Taylor, Aaron Moy, there was one by Hatate that Starfelt failed to notice, but I felt there was players from all over the pitch making these breaking runs in behind when it kind of seemed like everything was static. I don't feel like that was happening in the last 2 games. Did you notice that today, Lawrence, or was that just me? Am I just being biased there?
Yeah, but you've got to ask yourself why. When you play a little low ball that Aberdeen did, basically from almost their 18-yard box to their goal line, it really makes the pitch small, doesn't it? So Johnstone were playing almost up to the halfway. They're making the pitch bigger for us to play in when we've got the ball than Aberdeen and Livingston did. So there's more room to make those runs in. So Jim Goodwin's probably sitting at home and going, you know what? I was 5 minutes away from getting a draw. Whereas if I come out and played against Celtic, I might have get beat 4-1. So it's kind of... St Johnstone left a bit more room. Their manager approached it a bit differently. We wanted to have a bit more of a go. Stevie May pressed really well. They were never as close to as... Well, only at kick-off were they as close to as Livingston and Aberdeen were in the game. Yeah. It's what Ange Ball can do to you if you open up the park and you leave, when you make the park bigger and give us room to play in. So yeah. I think that's why we were seeing more of the runs. There was more room for the runs to happen.
Yeah, and there's a whole, when you look at Jim Goodwin's post match and talking about we were 5 minutes away, and it becomes a whole thing about aunties and uncles and what body parts they possess. About we could have had and should have had, and yes, a 1-0 is not as bad as a 4-1 in terms of goal difference and the reflection on paper. But if you're a supporter of St Johnstone or Aberdeen, which are you happier with, really?
Well, it's all down to the final result, isn't it? I suppose no one wants to see you get hammered and just losing out. Say Aberdeen, we just lost out a game, and everything's taken from that perspective of, right, we've lost. We didn't really have a goal, but yeah, you had a goal at kind of 1 point. St Johnstone really ever come close to that today? Nah. And I suppose you've got to realise, you've got to trust your manager and say, like, he's doing his best to get what points he can get from the game. Listen, Martin Dingle's made a career out in Scotland, hasn't he? Just pack the box. They get set pieces, long balls up to big guys. It's not pretty, but what's success for Livingston against bigger teams? Again, success for anyone in Scotland would be a draw against Celtic, wouldn't it? That's as much as any of the teams can dream of just now against Ange Ball. Well, perhaps one team can dream of more, St Mirren, because they got a win. But the other teams in the league, I think a draw against Celtic would have to be just as successful going on the current league standards. So, that Livingston and Aberdeen were closer to that than St Johnstone were. So I suppose they came closer to success. I
mean, who would you say was closer to a win again? Like, fans don't down the years, fans don't talk about battling 0-0 draws. You know, they reflect back on the times when they got a big win against a big team, and I guess the question is what tactic is going to make it more likely for you to get a win rather than what is more likely to get you a point. Fans rarely reflect on a well-earned point. For example, Celtic got many draws against Barcelona down the years, and nobody really reflects back on those anywhere near as much as they look back at the Wanyama and Tony Watt 2-1 victory. So I guess you do have to have some attacking intent, which is where the real criticism, if from a fan's perspective, I should say, which is where the real
but some of your
criticism.
attacking intent, you'll say, well, it's set pieces, because we know there's a good chance with VAR and Scottish referees that we might get a penalty. You know, it's set pieces. That's what we can exploit them. I've got Celtic aren't a particularly tall team. You know, our centre halves, I think, are both just 6 foot. Cam Carback and Staffel. So you know that's your odds of getting goals. So Johnston's a good boy with a long throw here, but today you know it's get the ball in the box, see what happens, play for your set pieces. Are they going to out football us? Are they better footballers than us? I wouldn't have thought so. You know, we don't concede a lot of chances from open play. You know, if anyone's looking at performances of Ange Postecoglou at Celtic, you know from open play they'll get very few chances. Set pieces is something you can practice. You know, you can create something from there, so you can see why teams play for it. But for me, you know, if Goodwin had picked up a point, would have taken a bit of pressure off him. You know, if Martindale picked up a point, celebration of lodges up and down the country, you know, it would have been disaster in the press for us, no doubt. But, you know, no one did. They cannot stop the unstoppable Angelo. Not even Bar today.
Yeah. And look, this 11 game winning run that we're on, it started when we beat Motherwell 2-1 back in 1st of October. And then the second game in that run was in the 8th of October against St Johnstone, where we beat them 2-1. Do you remember what happened in that game? And when we beat St Johnstone 2-1?
Oh, no, I can't remember the scores from that, no.
That was the 95th minute from Giacomakis.
Oh,
95th minute winner. Yeah. So 11 games in a row, and like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those games have been by one goal. So like that is absolutely
league winning form.
Sorry?
That's league winning form.
And that's it, yeah. And that is exactly what we say consistently. You have to put winning runs together. You have to win these close games, and that is sensational for us, I think. If we can beat Hibs on Wednesday, then that puts us on 12 league wins in a row. But more importantly, it puts us at a minimum 9 points ahead at the halfway point of the season. What do you make of that as a bigger picture?
Listen, it's great. I mean, the level of consistency Ange Postecoglou and his style of play is allowing this Celtic team to achieve is outstanding. You know, and I suppose the press manufactured, you know, Rangers are pulling it back on their deal. They're not pulling it back in terms of points. They're not pulling it back in terms of goals. They're certainly not pulling it back in terms of performances. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's there's only one football team between the two of them that could put this kind of run and performances and not having to rely on VAR decisions or non-referral to VAR to get results. It's outstanding what Ange's boys have achieved so far this season, and you're just hoping they take that into the second half of the season and it's more of the same. And really what Ange's achieved since his bedding in period, you know, since his bedding in period, well, I think it is only losing one game in the league, isn't it? It's
this season,
really outstanding. And you know, the people all over the world will be watching it. You know, out in Cleveland, they need a big shout out to the Cleveland CSC. -16 in Cleveland today, right? They all made it down to PJ McIntyre's Irish pub in Cleveland to watch the game. You know, that's some dedication for you.
I'd rather have -16 than the +31 that I've got in Perth today.
You say that now, but throw you out that away top into -16. I'm pretty sure you would change your mind.
That's fair. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, quite right. But this room has no aircon, and I'm sitting here literally stuck to my leather seat, like from the sweat, and it's like 11 p.m. at night. I think somebody asked earlier why I didn't have an Australian accent. Scottish born and bred, despite the fact that I'm an Australian citizen who lives down here, which is why representing the Celtic Down Under, who we paired up with Acsom. We have Australian and Japanese based contributors, which is why we're particularly suited for this particular moment in Celtic's history. In terms of the Hibs game coming up, Lawrence, who do you expect to come out? Do you think there's anyone who's going to be their last game for Celtic, given that the transfer window opens immediately after that?
If Jura comes in and plays, I think I'd expect it to be his last game. If it's potential his last game would suggest that, deals are close. I don't think I'd risk him at right back and risk the type of money we'd get, not after Hatati's performance. So I'd leave Hatati where he is. Taylor stays on, Hart, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Stafford, all keep a place for me. You get to midfield, they're not dropping Calmack, are you just not? What's your options instead of Moyne or Riley? Did they do enough to keep us shut? I'd say probably. So I'd leave Moyne. I don't think, especially Turnbull getting the red, I don't think there's anyone really pressing for a claim in there ahead of Moyne or Riley now. Jota didn't do enough. Looked out of sorts. I don't think he's done enough. Abad, on the other hand, I think he's got a good claim. Him in for Forrest maybe, or him in for Maeda. Yeah, depending on who you're going to play on left and right. So I'd say maybe that would have changed Abada. Yeah. Up top, I'm not too sure anyone's going to be shouting for GG against Hibs over Kyogo. He's 13 and 16. He scored 2 today. He scored 1 the previous game. Any goal drought he's had is surely behind him now. So, yeah, that's probably my only change I would see is Abada coming in.
Yeah, and look, I it's a funny one, isn't it? The wingers, like, if you ask me who are the two most gifted and talented wingers we have, I would say Jota and Haksabanovic. But if you want to say to me who are the most form wingers we've got at the moment, it's probably Abada and Forrest, or Abada and Maeda. Those three, Jota and Haksabanovic just seem to be off it, and it's a bit weird. Like, I'd love it if they were absolutely on it and they came out of Ibrox and destroyed them, but right now, I don't know, man. Like, I'd maybe want Jota and Haksabanovic to get a chance to prove themselves against Hibs, and if they can't do it, then I'd be going back to Forrest and Maeda and Abada for the Sevco game in Thursday.
I don't think they will, just because, of Ange. He wants the best team in the park all the time. It's get the 3 points. Every game's worth the same 3 points, and I think it is just keep this win and run going. So would I like today, for them to get some time to show that they should be starting? Yeah. Would I like to be 3-0 up at half time and say, right, take a run out against them, show us what you've got, reassure me I've got options for the next game? Definitely. Here's half an hour, but unfortunately I think Abada's the only guy that's really staking a claim when he's coming on as a sub. He's the only guy that you're going, you know what? He's come on, he's doing something, he's making things happen. Didn't score today, but I think he's the only guy that's really pushing for a start position. And if I'm the other players, the transfer window's coming closely, I'm pretty sure Ange wants them all to be pushing for a starting position when he's given them a chance. Not just chapping his door up, putting things on Instagram. I think he's wanting to do it on the park. And I think Abada's the only one that's doing that when he's coming on as a sub.
Mm-hmm. It's I think we're getting towards 30 minutes, so better start wrapping up. I just wanted to address a question from Donny Boy here, saying that I sound like I'm from the north of Scotland. I did actually spend a bit of a spell in the Highlands, which is where this kind of twang comes from. When I go down to Glasgow, they say I sound like I'm from the Highlands, and when I go to the Highlands, they say I sound like I'm from Glasgow. So a bit of a mongrel there. If anyone would like to listen in, I'm sure you don't after hearing me today, to Celtic Down Under, please subscribe to us on Twitter and various social medias. And in terms of a Celtic State of Mind, can you please, if you have not already done so, listen to stream/download the single that we've got out just now, The Glory and the Dream, which is scrolling along the bottom there. Where did we finish on the charts? Do we know for this week, Lawrence?
So I think our highest position on daily downloads was 16. Pretty sure.
16th, I thought that for the UK chart. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, iTunes top 100 UK, so iTunes download. I don't know if that's the official chart. I'm not right up with official charts. You will probably be shocked to know, but you know, we were up there. We've still got the push on to raise some money for St Mary's. You know, the parish, the mother parish that gave us Celtic, you know, with the purpose of feeding the needy children. Which no doubt happened in the parish hall at those dinner tables. They don't have a parish hall just now. You know, something that probably needs rectified. So, you know, if Canon White wanted to, before games, get needy children down, say, team up with the Kennel Foundation and offer them to come along and get a meal pre-match to Celtic Park, he couldn't do that. So hopefully, you know, at some point in the future, you know, the Celtic family or maybe Celtic step in and try and fundraise for a hall down at St Mary's. And, you know, East Rose Street has now changed its name, but it would be close to the site where Celtic was founded. So, yeah, hopefully that goes ahead and we raise enough money that or we can spark some interest somewhere that people want to actually start funding for St Mary's.
As you mentioned there, Lawrence, whether or not it's part of your religious persuasion or not, St Mary's is a literally historic site in Celtic's history, and that's something that's certainly worth protecting. I also see in the background there you've got Paul's book, The Celtic Jersey, which was released recently. I think Paul's taking his boy to his first ever Celtic game today.
He's taking wee Paul his first ever game, and you know, I think, you know, you'll agree those.
Sorry, Lawrence, I had no idea what happened there. Something just went.
Goodness knows, but as I said, yeah, I think you'd agree those colours belong in that trophy. If you've not got a copy of the penalty spot, apparently it's available at all good bookstops and online. But if you really want to get a copy, the penalty spot in Sword Street in Glasgow, Kevin Tate's place, has copies left. It'll be open in the new year, so get down there with your Christmas money. You'll probably meet a former player when you go in. Numerous players I've met in there, from the late great John Hughes. I've met Danny McGrain, Tosh McKinley, Enrico Annoni, John Fallon. It just seems to be a man that, for Celtic fans and Celtic players, absolute emporium of Celtic delights. So yeah, get down there and spend your Christmas money. Penalty spot, Salt Street.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lawrence. Okay, I'm going to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, which arrives in about 58 minutes for me, and get into a room with some air conditioning. Lawrence, would you like to send out any festive wishes before we sign off?
So I suppose that's Christmas Eve over for you. You know, what would we say? It's Christmas Eve, babe. You know, but 9 points clear.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and Ansball, is it lighting up the Christmas sky like Santa's sleigh again? So the world is a happy place when Celtic are top of the league.
It does, indeed it is. Merry Christmas to all from the top of the league, looking down on any other team, the opposition FC. Hail, hail.
God bless.